Hello, I'm back with another video. This video I'll be talking about IPs and branding, as the title says, or the importance of strong franchises. What spurred me to make this video was a couple of articles on playeressence.com. That's right, playeressence.com. That basically centered around Sony and Microsoft. And they basically really they got me to thinking about how IPs and franchise building is actually really important in the video gaming industry and are really the source of many problems for Sony and Microsoft right now. So let's get it started after the cut. Okay then. First, I'm going to start with Sony, just because this article really seemed to be something that if Shuhei Yoshida were smart, wouldn't have ever said. Apparently, only 30 to 40% of Sony's first-party games make money, which are profitable, which means that over 50% of their first-party projects and second-party projects don't do too well, which basically lets me know that their business model for their first-party IPs is garbage. And which leads me to the second article that I saw that pertains to Xbox One, which basically for people who own Xboxes, you may have been sent a special offer where you get $75 off the price of an Xbox One if you upgrade from an Xbox 360 to an Xbox One. The problem with both of these systems that I can see is a lack of high quality IPs. In Microsoft's case, they just don't have many of them. I mean, maybe there are 3 franchises that Microsoft is known for that people will buy consoles for: Fable, Gears of War, and Halo. That's it. Sony has more IPs, but they aren't very well supported. It seems like every single console generation with Sony, they drop their IPs and start from scratch, which is really stupid. But basically, if you're talking to different generations of Sony fans, they can't tell you what the last generation's mainline IPs were. So you talk to Sony fans who are just jumping on board for the PS4 era, they don't know who in the hell Sony's mainline IPs were during the PS1 era or PS2 era, and that is kind of disturbing. Actually, that's very disturbing. That is incredibly disturbing. So that leads me to the topic of this evening, of this video, which is basically why IPs or branding is very important for a company, or why companies need strong franchises in order to make things happen. So we'll get into why this is important after the cut. Okay, here we go. Basically, the thing that I've realized is that you need really good branding when you have any major corporation. So you look at Sony, you look at Microsoft, their branding isn't very good. I mean, sure, people know the PlayStation brand, but what must-have games are there for the PlayStation brand? What's going to bring people back? Killzone? Maybe for a few people. Knack? Really? Little Big Planet. That might get a few people, but the formula's getting very stale nowadays. So let's move to Microsoft. Microsoft has stronger IPs, but a very small amount of them. They have, as I said, Halo, Gears of Wars, and a third one which slips my mind right now. Oh snap! Fable. That's it. I mean, that is a woefully, now sure they have other things like Connect Sports and stuff like that, but those are more party titles. Those aren't like, no one's gonna go out and buy a expensive ass peripheral just to play Connect games. Except for maybe that awesome Star Wars Connect game that turned out to be a steaming pile of shit. But now that we've gotten that out the way, in order to explain the issue with this is basically, I'll explain it like this. If you are a video game company, your IPs are like your flagship franchises, okay? These are basically the IPs that brand you for what you are, okay? They're instantly recognizable and people associate that thing, that character, that whatever that is with you, okay? So the best example of this would be in the non-video gaming world with some of the iconic IPs we see here in the world. When someone says, "Do you want a cola?" the first thing that comes to most people's mind is Coke or Pepsi. Why? Because those two companies have really good IPs and really awesome branding. Okay? If someone says you want a burger, we're going out, we're going to stop and get a burger from a fast food place, you're normally going to think Burger King, McDonald's, maybe Checkers, maybe Wendy's, but generally McDonald's or Burger King are going to be the ones that's going to hit you. If someone says we're going to go get some cornflakes, first thing that comes to most people's minds is, oh, well, Kellogg's. We're going to get some wheat flakes, Wheaties. You want some orange drink? I'm going to think Tang. These are really good brands that really, really, really are indelibly linked with certain IPs and brands, okay? Now, Sony right now is seeing the sales of their console slip, slowly but surely. In Japan, it's fallen below the Wii. Of course, people will say it's because there aren't any Japanese-style games out on the PS4 yet, but I don't think that's it either. So basically, what I'm thinking, and I could be wrong on this, but what I'm thinking is this. I think that the issue is exactly what Shuhei Yoshida said. Sony does not think like a development company. They basically treat the games that they put out like they're EA. Sony treats their games like they're fucking EA and Microsoft. Or sorry, EA and Activision. They act more like a publisher than a first-party manufacturer. And they also have quite a few prima donna studios. For example, I remember there being an article where some of Sony's first-party developers, like, people asked them, why aren't you making games on the Vita? They're like, well, they don't want to make games on the Vita. Let me tell you something right now. If you work at Nintendo and they say your ass is making a 3DS game, your ass is making a 3DS game. Even if they went to Miyamoto and said, yo, you're making a 3DS game, Miyamoto would be like, okay, sure, I'll make a 3DS game. Only at some place that's fucked up like Sony would people who are getting their paycheck signed by someone else saying, oh, we don't want to work on our handheld device, so fuck you guys. That is a level of arrogance that I've never seen before in my life. So basically, I digress. As I was saying, Sony doesn't really build their IPs, their branding. Okay, like when I think of Sony, I don't think of the PlayStation. It's not the first thing that comes to my mind. When I think of Sony, first thing that comes to my mind is actually a sound system, or CDs, or the Walkman. I don't think PlayStation first. This could be because I'm an old school gamer and I just don't, I remember when Sony was the last time Sony was cutting edge was with the Walkman. And I know some people are going to say, well, what about Blu-ray? Did Blu-ray really need to happen? Did it really need to happen? Not really, because when it first came out, it was too damned expensive for normal people. I remember when Blu-ray first came out, it was like $50 for one disc. And the disc, had like one movie on it, no features, just very high definition. Which segues nicely into Microsoft's problem. They're currently trying to bribe people to buy their console. And I've been hearing a few people on the internet say, well, wait until they have games. That's the problem. Microsoft has some strong IPs, but they have very few of them, okay? Right now, there's really no reason to get either console. Like, for example, I heard that Grim Fandango Remastered Edition, while being a PS4 console exclusive, will be on PC and Mac and iStore, whatever. So, what reason do I have to own it on a PS4 when I can get it off of Steam in like a month afterwards on sale? Really? Seriously? It's embarrassingly bad how much Sony and Microsoft just don't treat their own IPs very well, and they don't nurture or grow their IPs. An IP is like growing a tree, It's not something that's quick. You gotta nurture it, you gotta water it, you gotta shade it, you gotta nurse it, you gotta grow it up. You can't force it to grow, you gotta grow it up. Some IPs grow quickly, some IPs grow at the perfect time, like Mario with Nintendo. Some IPs you have to grow slowly, but you have to grow them. They're not gonna come, you're not gonna get something, Pushmo is not gonna overnight become a Mario level thing. But if Nintendo continues to grow it, I have no doubt in my mind that within the next 5 or 10 years, Pushmo will be up there with F-Zero and Zelda at least. Because they grew the franchise. Same thing with Dylan's Rolling Western or Sakura Samurai. You have to grow your IPs. You can't just go with the same shit or keep on trying new shit. You have to grow something up. Does that mean every game in the series is going to be a success? Hell no. The highest selling Zelda to date is the N64 Ocarina of Time, I believe, with a close second being Twilight Princess. Actually, no, I think Twilight Princess surpassed Ocarina of Time because it released on the GameCube and the Wii, and both sets overtook the N64 version. But, that means that Wind Waker didn't sell as well as the previous one. Majora's Mask didn't sell as well as the previous one. The handheld ones definitely didn't sell as well as the previous one. But they still released games to grow that IP. You have to nurture your franchise. You need strong franchises to identify with the company. So when people say, why should I get this console? Why should I get that console? Why should I get X console over Y console? They say, well, I can get these, and these exclusively on this console. Can't say that with much of Sony stuff. As a matter of fact, I heard No Man's Sky is going to be on PC too. Another reason not to own this fucking console. Really. Oh god, Sony, you're so pathetic. Which leads me to my conclusion after the cut. Okay then, it's time for our conclusion. In conclusion, the IPs and branding, um, the lack of strong IPs on both the Microsoft and Sony platforms right now is biting them in the ass. Because third party games, even if they're coming to your console and even if you have this map pack, these few extra DLC missions, this exclusive area to explore, I mean, those only work so much. For example, um, I own. I've been a multi-console gamer since I was 12 years old. When the N64 came out, and I had the N64 and the well, no, the N64 came out before that. But when I was 12, I got a PS1 and a PS2, and I had an N64, and I think the GameCube was just coming out at that point. I had both of them. And I've been a multi-console gamer for, since I was 12. I'm 28 now, so 16 years, okay? And basically, the reason I have multi-consoles is because there were certain games that only came to that console. I got a PS1 initially because I wanted to play Medieval. I was like, this game looks like fun. And Pa Rappa the Rapper, and Ape Escape, and Spyro the Dragon, and Crash Bandicoot, and a ton of third-party games that just never came to the N64. But I also had a few multiplats that were on both consoles, like Gauntlet Legends, which is garbage on the PS1. I've been a multi-console owner for many years now. And I can tell you right now that multiplats are nice, but really people buy consoles for the exclusive content. People prefer one brand over another because of the strong ties they have with that brand. Some people only buy American cars. Some people only buy Toyotas or Camry or Toyotas or Hondas or Infinities or Lexuses or Cadillacs or Buicks, whatever, or Lincolns. Some people only eat at certain restaurants because that's what they like. You have to. IPs are there to basically let your customer know that this is what they can expect from you. This is intimately combined. This is intimately combined with the identity of your company, your business, and this is why people should come only to you, because you're the only one who does it. But alas, a few companies fall by the wayside and don't follow this core measure. So, with that done, I bid you adieu. Have a good day, and remember, keep on gaming.